Thank you very much, folks. So yeah, gyms, zoos, and museums, your documentation should be in-game. So first of all, who is Yann Storm? Who's this guy standing in front of you? Well, I have 15 plus years of game development experience. I organize the tool design roundtables at GDC and sometimes also at DEF CON. Looks like this. I know the table isn't round, but still, it's great. Please show up if you're there. It's fantastic. I talk around the world about tool design all over the place. This is one from the Gamescom Congress a few years ago. I was a tool designer in the AAA industry at IO Interactive, working on Glacier 2, the engine on the Hitman games. It's Glacier, and that's Hitman. I was a tool designer in AAA industry at Guerrilla Games in Amsterdam, working on the Decima engine and editor for the Horizon games. So that's Decima. And I was there for the Frozen Wilds and a little bit of the Forbidden West. I was a tool designer at Apple, working on the Reality Composer and Reality Converter. So there's pictures of me at Apple Park, the big round building. It's a Reality Composer. And I was on the team that also made the Vision Pro, the headset in California. I wrote a chapter in the book of an architectural approach to level design, 2nd edition. So if you have this book somewhere in your office, you can find me on page 106, if I'm correct. I love that because anytime I'm at a studio and I see the book like I'm at, I'm like, hey, have you checked this page? That's my name. It's a lovely time. I'm a co-inventor on 5 patents. So if you Google me on Google Scholar, you'll find some patents that I was involved in. And I'm nowadays a freelance product and UX designer as a consultant, so I help studios both big and small and software vendors with the workflow and UX of their tools. And so the question I want to ask you for this particular talk is, are you shipping your documents or are you shipping your game? Because the important thing is you need to be building in-game documentation. And what does that look like? Well, it looks like this, like gyms look like this, like zoos that look like this, museums that look like this. And you can also do a lot of this automatically, like this. Like you can generate zoos, for example. Now, why do we need in-game documentation? Because when you're communicating throughout your team, especially with larger teams, you can get into a game of telephone, right? Like things get lost when you're having to move between a lot of different people, read a lot of different documentation. So even a really simple question, like how far can a player jump, can get very complicated, right? Because you hear like Alex knows, great, so you go to Alex, and Alex says actually Sam knows. So you go to Sam, Sam says it's on Confluence. So you go to Confluence, but apparently it's on Slack. So you try to find a Slack channel, but it's locked. You can't get into that Slack channel, so you gotta now find someone to ask for an invite. So you find someone who can get you an invite, but they're on PTO, right? So when they're back, they invite you, and finally you're in the Slack channel, and now you finally see the information that you need. Lovely, right? But that's a game of telephone and telephone and telephone and telephone, and things get lost. There's so much room for error, right? We want to eliminate that room for error. Because these questions happen a lot for like, how far can a player jump? How low can a player crawl? What's that animation called that I need? And what level is that NPC? And the important thing here is that everything changes all the time. Like that NPC's name has already changed 5 times. You might even have known about 3 of those, right? Now, when everything changes all the time, some call that chaos. Some call it a fast-paced environment. Some call it being agile. Of course, it's a natural part of iteration. Iteration happens, right? Games have constant iteration, and this is a good thing. Please keep iterating. But constantly having to update documentation is tough, right? That should be easier. Now, I used to be taught, like back in the day, we're talking like 2006, that you need to make a really big GDD, like a game design document, right? And then always keep it up to date, right, constantly. Please, those days have passed. Like it's been a couple of decades now, tools and all kinds of engines have improved. Please stop doing this. Now, of course, at the start of the project, you need to be building documentation. Please write things down. What do you want things to be? But you're going to be moving to the engine at some point. And at that point, you're going to be building in-game, right? And slowly but surely, you're going to forget to update documentation. You're going to forget again, and that one thing is not going to get updated. And slowly but surely, the documentation is no longer being updated, and it slowly goes out of date over time, right? Now, at this point, someone in the team is going to say, oh, no, the documentation is out of date. But I'm here to say, please don't worry. That's normal. But updating it should be easy. And the way to do that is you should document your game in-game, spatially and contextually to your content. So instead of having 2 things to update, you can combine them into one thing. Kind of getting like a core tenet of workflow design, right, is like working in context, in-game to the thing you're working on. Now, there are a couple of ways to do this. The ones I recommend are gym, zoo, and museum. You might have known these as different names already, like test map, Metrics World, Showcase, Playground, Test Level, White Room, Player Zoo, Gallery, Mechanics Garden, Workshop. There's a lot of different names for this, but I would urge you, if possible, to please stick with Gym, Zoo, and Museum. These have been used since the 90s. They're very helpful. If everyone uses them, it makes things easier. I know it's a tough ask, but I can ask it. I'm on stage right now. So, Chapter 1, Gym. This is for character controllers. This is for player movement. This is for character animation. And this is, for example, a game animation sample from Unreal 5. You can just download this and try this out, right? So the character can run around, you get some metrics that show like, oh, this is 1 meter, you can jump over things, see how they work. Oh, there's something that's 2.5 meters there, you can like climb onto it. So this kind of thing really easily allows you to do things. They can also like teleport to another place and do some more testing. Usually these are not released to the public, right? Like these things usually stay internal. So what I've done is I've created a little gym that kind of showcases what these usually look like inside a game, right? You have, like, for example, something like this with jump distances. So green are good jump distances, they're easy. Yellow is a little bit more difficult, and red is like bad, like that's too far away to jump. And imagine you can just hit play and just run through this and make that jump and see how it functions, right? Or like corner cover. Green is great. Those round things in yellow are a little bit harder to use. Or like a fence parkour. You know how like in Assassin's Creed you're like running along fences? Cool. Show people how easy or how difficult that it must be to do, or how you place those things in a level. And another one that happens a lot, edge climbing, right? Like you're climbing along an edge. How far can those edge pieces be? How does that work? Instead of documentation, get that into a gym. Let people try those things out and learn from that. Now, some games also release their gyms, sometimes as a thing called a shooting range or something like that. Here's one from Overwatch 2, where like you can just load in with any character you want. You can start shooting things and see how they work. You can pick up an item and see how that functions. So I instantly have my ultimate here. I can shoot whatever enemy I want. So I can also go into this computer and select any enemy. I don't have to know what the console command is. I don't have to know what this character is called inside the code base. I just select it. Now I can use an ability, and boom, right? So this is not just for players, right? This is also useful for devs. Or as Jan David Hassel said, you can't ship a game without hitting the gym. So it's also very helpful for smoke testing and other automated testing. For example, with that gym, imagine you let a character run through it overnight. Does the character get stuck? Is there a problem somewhere? Now we can tell everyone, like, hey, this character got stuck, this build does not pass smoke tests, so please don't give it to other people, we gotta fix this first. And we can know where the problem happened. So when someone asks, how far can a player jump? Instead of giving them loads and loads of documentation, and you gotta find through things, and you gotta find that one table somewhere that has the metric, yuck. Instead, how far can a player jump? Check the gym, you got it. What is the maximum terrain angle? Check the gym, you got it. How much damage does that ability do? Check the gym, you got it. So you have a single source of truth to work with. So I'm not saying don't document, please document. I'm saying know what and when to document. Like, can you document that stuff in-game? Now sure, engineers love reading text documentation, like especially for APIs. If you're building an API, please build textual documentation. It's extremely important. Please do that. Please don't stop doing that. But artists and designers will not read written documentation. Like, with extremely few exceptions. I know you narrative designers do love it. No one else does, so like, just, do we force people to read all that text? Or can we make a better way for them to interact with the content we have? So what makes a good gym? Test cases for all major character environment interactions. Descriptions of metrics visually right there. Color coding and text, green is good, red is bad. Teleportation and ease of use. Can you quickly go to different parts of a gym, for example? Don't have like 5 different gym levels that you don't have to remember the name of, then you're back at square one. Have the one gym, and from there you can teleport into other gyms. So that's takeaway number 1. Please use gyms. Now, chapter 2, Zoo. This is for 3D art assets, items, and NPCs, for VFX, audio, materials, and for vignettes and art directors. Now, a classic problem for asset browsers is that you had something like this. A whole bunch of thumbnails. And if we zoom in here, if we look at the siege tower and the rocks above it, which asset is larger? The siege tower is a little bit larger, but like how much larger? We have no idea what the scale of any of this is. Also, what does it look like in the lighting in the level, in the dark or in like a sunset? We don't know, we have no idea. Now there's some cool things that, for example, Unreal does, which is kind of neat. You can kind of click and rotate a thumbnail to see what an asset looks like even in the asset browser. That's kind of cool, but still, that rock and that ballista, are they the same size? Are the stairs the same size? What about this thing? Like, I can see what the bottom of a siege ram looks like. Bam, there it is. That's pretty cool, but I still can't see exactly what its scale is. Also, these assets that you see right here are made by Kenny. Creative Commons 0 is like released online. So I want to give a quick shout out to Kenny. Thank you very much. Like, give it up for Kenny. Thank you so much for all the work you do. It's absolutely fantastic. Going over to some other assets right now in Unreal, for example, here's a zoo. So I can see what the assets look like. I can see what their scale is. I can see what they look like in lighting. You instantly know, should I or will I use this in a level that I'm building? And what's really awesome as well is I can also zoom in on this much further. I can see the detail of it. Like, oh, there's parallax on this material. Lovely, now I know. I can't see that in a thumbnail in an asset browser. And what's nice as well for art directors specifically is you can set up little vignettes next to the zoo to kind of showcase like, oh, this is how you put those assets together. This is what the game should look like. This is the art direction that we're working with. So you can set this up, and anyone can just load this in and see like, oh, this is how we're supposed to work with things and make sure things look congruent throughout the whole game. So instead of asking questions like, what's the name of that item? Is it like spawn CR1284 in the console? What's the name of that vendor NPC that the name keeps changing? What level are they in again? Is it like City Sewers 27 at X125, 1279, Z10? Terrible questions to take ages of time to deal with, right? Again, telephone after telephone after telephone after telephone. You don't want to have to deal with that. Instead, make a zoo. This is one from Counter-Strike Global Offensive for DE Nuke that Valve released. And you can even see a little text like, oh, these are the roof trims. What are the names of those roof trims? I don't care. I can just look at that. Which one do I need? These ladders, I can look at those. Or these wires and cables. I have high poly and low poly versions. I can see all of them. You can instantly understand what you need to grab. And of course, you can grab that data programmatically where possible, like the names, the health of something, how much damage something does. Like, show that data in engine next to the asset. And again, these are usually not released to the public, but here's one from Overwatch 2. This is a 3-frame segment from a YouTube video. I was like, they released this, and I looked and I was like, oh my God, there's a zoo in there. So here's a zoo, for example. Like, companies do this, they're just not as public about it. You can also do this for VFX, not just like regular art assets. Like, for example, here's Skin Deep from Blendo Games. Look at all these VFX assets. You don't have to look through every single one in a previewer, one by one. Out of these thousands, you can just zoom in on something and go, oh, the electric defib VFX asset, I love using that. That sounds fantastic. You can just grab it and see it instantly. You can build a zoo for any asset, including animations. For example, here's a bunch of character animations. We can instantly see if everything functions, what they look like, did they have any issues, which one do we want to edit. Instantly, we can see what we're trying to do, right? Or you can also make these automatically. For example, here's Asset Placer for Godot, made by Cookie Badger. And again, we have that classical problem of a whole bunch of assets in an asset browser. Just thumbnails, we have no idea what the scale is, what they look like in lighting, very confusing. Right-click on it, generate asset zoo, click on that, and we have a zoo right there, instantly. We can instantly see what everything looks like, what the scale is of everything, do we want to use this or not? It's lovely. And this is not just tool design, right? This is workflow design. This is looking at the full workflow of how people make video games. And what's really cool, you can also use this for a lot of debugging. For example, here's an asset zoo. Which asset here has an issue? A little Dora the Explorer. Can you point at which asset has an issue? Easy, right? It's that one right there. We can zoom in on it. There's something wrong with the shader. Cool, we can fix it. Another one. Which asset is not loading incorrectly? Instantaneously, we know we can zoom in on it and find it and resolve it, right? So again, this is also good for smoke testing and other automated testing. For example, for zoos, I recommend make a screenshot overnight and compare that to see changes or errors. Like, here's a screenshot from last night, here's the screenshot from this night. Have a lot of pixels changed? Is that because we got a lot of new assets, or has like a thing totally broken? Send that screenshot to your art director on Slack. They can see it in the morning. If anything is like broken, they can fix it and instantly know what needs to be fixed, right? Or here's another one. Can you find out which asset has a problem here? Trick question, you can't see it, but if I turn on the shader complexity, watch which asset has a problem now. Again, instantaneously we can see, oh, this particular asset over here has a really high shader complexity. We should probably fix this, right? It makes it so much easier to see. So what makes a good zoo? Display of assets on a per folder, per use, and per level basis. And also lighting settings for each level and time of day. What does this look like in all these various times of day? Scale references with textures and characters. What is the scale of this particular asset that I'm using? And vignettes. Let the art director set up what this game is supposed to look like so everyone knows what to stick with. So that's takeaway number 2, use zoos. Now, chapter 3, museums. So this is for technology and systems, for shaders and rendering, and for physics and prefabs. Here's a little museum example from Unreal Engine 5. You can, again, just download this, and this is for their cloth system, right? So it's a little level, and you can see all their cloth systems in it, and so you can start playing it and instantly see how the cloth works, right? Is something broken? Again, we can instantly see it. There's a little green question mark. We can click on that and possibly go to like some documentation somewhere, like go to that if we really wanted to. Bunch of data that showcases how different cloth systems can work. We can instantly see and understand everything, right? Again, not 40 to 50 pages of Confluence, just instant visibility on how everything works. And for the physics system that they have, chaos destruction, look at how big their museum is for this. It's a lot of examples. But again, instead of 2,000 pages on Confluence, just load up the levels, see how it works. Everyone can instantly understand how things are supposed to work. And also, literally last week, Skin Deep from Blender Games released a Skin Deep mod museum. This is for UGC, so user-generated content. They open up their modding capabilities. How do you explain things to the general public with a museum? Just in this case, again, one level, and from there, you can load into other levels. You can see what other levels are doing, what they're supposed to be doing, so we can see all kinds of things over here, like lighting, scripting, and metrics, and then we just click on that, and it loads into the metrics museum. So in this case, I'm going to turn on no clip so I can fly around fast. And I can instantaneously see in this what everything's supposed to be. Like, for example, what's the player width and player height? This many units. So don't go over those. Don't make it smaller than that. What's the crawling height for a player? There it is, right there. We can instantly understand. What's the jump height and also what countertop's height should be? Put it in there. What is the clamber height? What can't be clambered? What's the crawl height? Instantly, we can understand everything. Like, how high should the entities be on a wall? What's the size that a window should be? What are the size that stairs need to be? And this is not just for what you need to do, also for what you not need to do. For example, here's a section on no overhangs. Like, hey, you shouldn't be building overhangs, and here's an explanation why. Don't do this, it's confusing for the player, our systems don't work well for this, or whatever it may be, so don't do this. Again, you can explain all these things to your developers internally and also to external people. Or like, no clamber above clamber, don't do it, something is gonna mess up. And also, for lighting systems, like how does the lighting system work? Watch out for this, please do that, please don't do that. Please make sure you work things in certain ways. And also scripting. Like, for example, here's a little scripting thing, and it literally shows you as it goes through the script, and it does the thing that the script is doing right there. So if a little cat that's going to come up, like a little, it's going to wait a little bit, and it's going to talk a little bit and do an animation, and then it's going to do another animation that we are actually going to wait for, because it's important. Yeah. And that's it, right? Like, it showcases how the systems work instantaneously. Not big documentation, it shows how it works. Let's take away number 3. Please use museums. And what makes a good museum? Well, functionally displays how the systems work, has text explaining the systems, and contains links to technical documentation where necessary, right? Again, please do still write technical documentation for your engineers, but you can link from there from a gym or zoo or a museum to that documentation if they want to read it. So that's gyms, zoos, and museums. They're not just in-game, they are spatial inside the game. And it takes us to chapter 4, spatial documentation. And this is useful for everything. For example, let's say you're still building a level, like a game in the beginning. You have a level that's not done yet. It's hard to see what everything looks like. Put some spatial documentation in there. Those are the farmlands. Dungeon number 2 is over there. Dungeon number 1's over there. We got the human city in this spot. We got Dwarven city there. We got the deep forest over there. I don't need to look in some documentation or find the meeting in which something was discussed. I can just kind of go, oh yeah, dungeon number 2 is over here. It might change names, it might change locations, but I can instantly see where everything is, right? Like in a human city, I can even go deep and oh, this is the quest 3 start location. So I can understand where I need to debug something. If something should or should not move, I can indicate that in-game, like, hey, please don't move this. And you can also use this for bug reports, design changes, general to-do tasks. For example, here's a C Notes for Unity, a plugin by Ciro Contenicio. And you just have this little thing inside the editor, and it tells you oh, hey, there's some grass is covering the road here, and there's a position of that, the category is to do, it's in this particular scene, there's no screenshots attached and no comments, but we can do that if we wanted to. And we can instantly see, yeah, there's a problem there. So we can resolve that in-game. We can click complete there. And we can do all kinds of issues, for example, these banners. Some art director probably said, oh, these are too long. So they left a little note saying, hey, these are too long. You can resolve this, change this. And so now when someone's doing the work, they can see that in-game, right? Or this rock over here, it's rotated a little weird. So it will say that, hey, this rock has a wrong rotation. There's even a little screenshot attached so we can see what that person originally saw when they were, for example, playing the game. So we double-click on that, And boom, we can see a screenshot like, yep, that's obviously wrong, something's wrong there, so we got to fix this now and then update it. And imagine this is like tied into like Jira or any other kind of like system that it automatically updates it, so when you make a change, we instantly see it. And like also, for example, nav mesh stuff, like, oh, the nav mesh over here is broken, little note. So the devs see what they need in the context they need it in, right? And a really cool one that I particularly like also is in Godot. In Godot, you have like a whole bunch of functions. And now, of course, if I have an object here, I can right-click on that and say Open Documentation in the drop-down. And it opens the documentation inside the editor, right? So I can click on here and see more things inside the editor. Not a browser window, not some different thing, inside the editor. To the point even where I can go to a particular property of that node, right-click it, say Open Documentation, and it takes me to the exact spot of the documentation where it tells me about that particular property. And if I wanted to go to external documentation, I'm not going to stop you. You can still click that and go to that, right? I think Godot did an awesome job implementing this kind of stuff. Like, this looks really, really, really cool. So that's takeaway number 4, build spatial and contextual documentation. So what makes good spatial documentation? They're easy to create, like with mouse, keyboard, but also controller, right? Like imagine your art directors playing the game and they're like, oh, something's wrong here. Let them like double tap the sticks and it instantly pumps up a little thing and maybe they can type into it, maybe they can just like speak into it. You create like a commentary node of like the art director saying like, hey, please change this or this like this. And they have screenshots and ticket system integration. So if you change something in game, the Jira automatically updates. So the producers can look at Jira and all the stuff and that's fantastic, but no one else has to, which I think would be great. And also, they contain links to external data where necessary. Like, please still have external stuff where necessary. What's really cool, we can also combine these techniques. Like, I love the combination of peanut butter and chocolate. We can also create combinations like, for example, spatial notes and zoos. Whatever, using those together, that'd be awesome, right? So here's again a little demo from C Notes by Ciro Contenicio. And you just have a bunch of assets here in a zoo and also notes attached spatially. So we see like, oh yeah, this needs material changes or whatever it might be. And we can see it's the art review category, there's a screenshot attached. We can see who made the comment and when they made that comment. Again, just grab that information if you have it. Or another one that I like is the gym and zoo combination, which is kind of done by Apex Legends a little bit. Like, I didn't work on this, I thought it was really cool. Like, you have all your assets laid out here, right? You can see all of them. You don't need to remember what the console command is to spawn any of these things. They're all laid out. All the weapons, all the ammo, you grab them, they instantly respawn. This is so much easier to work with, right? Like, when someone's wondering, what thing do I need to edit? What does that look like? Can I try this out? Load up this thing, and it instantly works. Like, here's some health, here's some ammo. Everything works together, right? And also, like, I can, like, grab this gun and just like instantly start shooting because there's an enemy right there, so I can instantly start testing things. Again, for QA, automated testing, lovely. So, you know, next time you feel your documentation slowly going out of date, don't worry about it as much. Instead, build a gym, build a zoo, build a museum, and also make sure you work spatially. Thank you very much.
All right.
Also,
great talk. All right.
I want to give a quick shout out to these people for helping me out so much for feedback on this talk. I really, really, really appreciate you.
All right.
Are there any other questions that people have? Yes, thank you.
We have time for some questions.
Cool.
I think there are questions, right? Hold on.
Hi, great talk.
Thank you.
I have a question. How do you ensure that the team keeps the gyms, the zoos, up to date? Because what might happen is someone might make a change and then forget to put it in the zoo, or like you need to have some processes to keep them in place, right?
For as much as possible, try to have the items and the character controllers and things like that located within that gym, so that when that change is made, the gym is the first place that changes, right? So we instantly then see it go, and like from there it propagates to everywhere else. Depends on your game. Everything is always, it depends. That's the always correct answer, right? But the thing here in this case is like, yes, sometimes people might still forget to update things, but at least you don't have to update both the game and documentation. You're updating the one thing. So I'm not saying it's perfect. We're working with human beings. There's always going to be issues somewhere. But it definitely eliminates like half of the problem. And I think that's useful already. Does that answer your question?
It does, thank you.
Great. Any other questions?
Another question.
Yes, thanks for the great talk. I was wondering, your points were very much in depth on the technical stuff, the metrics, the zoo, how does it render, etc. Do you also have tips for more the creative documentation, like the story, the stuff like that? Do you keep that separate as well, or?
try and make that spatially as well for as much as possible. It's a little more complicated, right? Like, for example, a thing that you could do with particular quests, again, depends on your tech here, is like have one of those quests, like have a little gym section for that particular quest. Like, talk to this NPC, and there's just that one NPC in that gym. And then you got to kill this one guy, so there's one guy over there. You got to open this door with a key or something like that. Now, those objects in the actual level might be kilometers apart. But if in the gym you can do that testing, that already helps a lot with setting up like, oh, does it work that way? This needs to work this way. Like, I used to work a very, very tiny amount on a Skyrim mod, and that was the setup. Like, I would make that whole thing inside a little test area to make sure that all works, and then later on we can put those NPCs elsewhere to make sure it works in the larger world. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, thanks.
Great, cool. Any other questions?
Is this also useful for smaller teams?
Again, it depends in this case. It depends also on the size of the project, right? Like if you have let's say you have 4 to 5 people, in that case, everyone's probably constantly on Slack all the time. Everyone is in every single meeting all the time. It'll be less useful. Still great if you're building out a really large project, but like less useful. The larger the project becomes, the more important it becomes to do these things. So you can still do it, but you know, your mileage may vary. Look at how much time you are spending going through documentation and losing stuff and the game of telephone. If there's 5 people, you probably have less of a game of telephone problem, but maybe not nothing. We're still human beings and we make mistakes. That's how it goes.
All right. I think that's all the time we have. Sorry. Rob and Jan, thank you.
Thank you very much as well.